The Korean server has been updated and there's a bunch of new things. A whole load of different skills have been changed, including pretty heavy nerfs to tanks. They also appear to be including a new debuff where you can obtain recovery overload stacks. You will obtain this from all different heal skills, including shield ones and heal over times. Additionally, the heal cuts, the debuffs which reduce healing received for a certain period of time, have actually just been changed so they're no longer considered a weaken. That means it will no longer be possible to stack weaken resistance to avoid receiving that debuff. But with this update, we also have the new season of the Tower of Greed, with the new rewards here. And well, they look interesting, with some tier 3 gear available. They're also adding a new event where we will get double the amount of Archbosses. Additionally, there's an update to the Nebula Merchant, Battlegrounds Merchant, and what is really great to see is the devs appear to have listened. They've went and changed that trait box where you can claim one random trait to now be a selection of any gear piece, including any specific weapon, and then it's very likely a role within that what trait you get of that item. But now it's a lot more worth your entropy shards versus the previous edition that I explained last week. Before we get started, the devs have stated they are aware of some guild items and auction house listings created before February the 11th not appearing correctly on the auction house, and guild distribution for these items may be blocked. The fix is coming this February 26th with maintenance, when we'll probably get this overall update as well, and items listed after February the 11th should not be affected. So let's get into the details of these new changes. And we'll first jump to the skill adjustments. So as highlighted in the patch notes, we first got these longsword changes. Looking in game, we can indeed see they've increased the cooldown of counter barrier. This character already has 66% cooldown, but if you had none, this would be a 45-second cooldown. But they've also increased the duration up to 8 seconds. What this means is it's much harder to have 100% uptime on this ability. Not impossible, just much harder. You will now need to reach those stat caps to actually obtain 100% uptime. The exact math on that is right here. You can get the duration to be 20 seconds with 150% buff duration. And then the cooldown you can get down to just over 20 seconds with 120% cooldown. So if you want to be super tanky all the time and you want to have that counter barrier up all the time, you're going to have to really dedicate your build to getting those stats, which I kind of think is the intent of these changes. If you want to min-max just pure tankiness, you're probably going to have to sacrifice other stats, like say damage. The further changes here, moral boost now only applies to attack, control and mobility skills. Also your resilient mind, the amount of mana you can gain by blocking has been nerfed significantly from 36% to 7.2%. But then we confirm the greatsword change, and we can see that those heal cuts are still there. They've not actually been removed, as you could be led to believe by this kind of translation, but it's just the fact that they're considered a weaken has been removed. So they can no longer be countered by weaken resistance. This will ultimately just make it even harder to heal your allies. And as far as I'm aware, that healing received doesn't affect shield health received, or even incoming recovery effect. Correct me if I'm wrong there could be just translation errors, or they're not specifying fully in the tooltip, because there are abilities like this here which do reduce the shield health received. So these ones seem to be just for healing, which yes, will not bring back Seeker to a viable state with this many heal cuts in the game, because this also applies to throwing knives as well. No longer considered a weaken. You can no longer resist that decrease to your healing received. Same with the Hellfire Rain on the staff effect right here. And also a few skills here, they've made it to ignore the shield block chance. Hellfire Rain is one of them, so is Icebound Tomb, Fatal Stigma, Supernova Collapse, and all these wand extra skills. Looking at the longbow here, they have a bit of a confusing change, and I still am not fully sure what this is supposed to say. But we can look at Purifying Touch, and it does have that order of which debuffs it's going to cleanse, but nowhere does it say anywhere that it's going to add a reduction in recovery effect received, other than when you have this specialization and you apply Healing Touch, it adds 1 stack of recovery overload. And that's something new here on all our heal skills. Even on Wand, Clay Salvation will add 3 stacks of recovery overload. Swift Healing, 1 per heal. Fountain of Life, 1 stack. Invincible Wall, 3 stacks. In all your bow heal skills like Flash Wave adds 3 stacks. Healing Touch, 1 stack. Nature's Blessing, when it applies Healing Touch, 1 stack. And your Orb, when it applies Shield, also adds these recovery overload stacks. Even with your Guardian Satellite, 3 stacks. And another one for Healing Wave, Healing Star, and Restoring Constellation. But this is not something I could check out in game or even test properly, because you can cast these abilities. You're not actually obtaining a debuff here. And if we test our heals before and after we would assumably obtain those stacks, we're not seeing a change. We're still healing for the same amount, whether or not we supposedly have those stacks. Perhaps it's just not something they have properly implemented yet, and they've just mistakenly updated the tooltips already, especially because it's not mentioned anywhere in the patch notes that they have added those stacks. But it could be their first steps forward to addressing Oracle, the fat shields it can provide, and overall just nerfing healers a bit more. But if you watch the recent PvP Creator Roundtable, they discussed how the devs can't just straight up remove Oracle and all the shields, at least on a PvP competitive scene, because that will result in a really fast TTK. Everybody would die in 1 or 2 hits without those shields. So there's something else they have to do here if they want to preserve the survivability of players and not just have everybody dying in 1 second, because the meta right now is most people run glass cannon builds, and as Tico mentioned, they want to take some time to properly come up with a solution to what they're going to do with the orb shields and how powerful that is. As many of you have pointed out, one fairly simple way would be to make it so you can only get as many shields as you have maximum hit points. So you would have to actually build hit points to gain more shields. So you couldn't just run around with 10k health plus say 100k shield. You would only be able to get 10k shield, as limited by the amount of health you have. But we'll have to see what the devs decide. And again, with these abilities now supposedly adding recovery overload, this could be a step in a direction of what they want to be doing. So let's move on to the new Tower of Greed rewards. This will be the next season, lasting for the next month. Will be starting for us this Thursday as well. And we can see, as I said in the update notes, they are adding tier 3 gear selection chests here. And on the Dusk tier, you can get more gear chests with accessories. And these are selection boxes. You choose what you want. But we can see they've actually removed the artifact crystals from here. But they have added 2 extra things. Just to compare the rewards per the seasons, this was season 1. And now compare it versus season 2. So we've only obtained 2 new things. Gear chests and health potions. But they have also removed the Relic Analysis crystals and the Resonance Stone fragments. These 250 crystals we will no longer get them from Tower of Greed. They've even reduced the amount of Marind we got. Before, 340, now 330. As for the artifact chests, we get 200, which was the same as before. The rune chests, we got 145, now we get 140. Weapon mastery, at least they improved significantly. We get 31.5 million versus just 7 million. Conversion stones, unlock stones, the amounts have not changed. We get 2 more noble chaos runes versus just the 1 last time, and we just get less nebula stones. Instead of 13, we just get 6. We get the same amount of noble polish crystals, but then we get the new gear chests and the new health potions. Not exactly amazing. They did, however, say their intent was to basically make the Tower of Greed more appealing for newer players who are still developing their character. So what it seems to me is they're basically making Tower of Greed not needed to be played for anybody other than somebody who wants those extra gear drops. Maybe conversion stones and unlock stones too. But yeah, without Tower of Greed having relic analysis crystals, there is no real point to run this other than those gear items and some small bonus rewards on top, which is the same as the last season. So if you are looking for those relic analysis crystals, you will now find them through Nebula. You can get 40 per week here, 6 nebula stones each, meaning you'll need to get 240 nebula stones per week in order to buy them all out. That's a bit of a grind. Additionally, with your battlegrounds, you can get 40 per week, but you will need to spend 20 combat coins each. So yeah, the possibility is to only get 80 per week, which is a total of 320 per month. Compare that to season 1, we got 250. So we can possibly get a bit more, but the grind is going to be longer than just having done one Tower of Greed playthrough, which took me about 6 hours. You'll probably take more time than that, doing over 4 weeks the grind to get the nebula stones necessary along with the battlegrounds. But at least you can have maybe a bit more fun doing it, or a bit more of a chill time. Finally, let's jump to the raid merchant. Again, it's pretty reassuring to note that the devs seem to have actually listened to feedback from the previous pouch that they literally just introduced last week. They've gone and replaced that pouch with one which allows you to actually choose the gear item of which you're getting a trait. So now I can choose to take a trait of this sword and shield if that's what I'm looking for. Or if I want wand traits, then I choose wand here and I will drop one of those traits. No longer will it be random of all of these items. The cost remains the same, 30 entropy shards, but that's reasonable enough. So it should ultimately make the prices on the more used items come down a bit. Like if everybody's running heroic orb and wants heroic traits, and right now they're all really expensive, well, everybody has the opportunity to play the raid, get those entropy shards, and buy the pack which guarantees them an orb trait. And that should definitely bring down the prices then. Or if everybody wants glove traits, now all of a sudden everybody can purchase this pack and claim a glove trait. Again, should bring the prices down of all those high-priced traits that everybody wants. So finally, looking at the calendar, we can see they've added double Archbosses. All this is in each slot, you can now go to all the Archbosses. So on Tuesday, you can go to any of the ascended Archbosses, and on Wednesday, any of the normal Archbosses. Same again on Friday and Saturday. They don't seem to have added extra time slots, so you won't actually be attending any extra Archbosses. You will simply just be able to choose any of the Archbosses, as now all are available. 3 are on Peace and 1 is open world. At least that's how I see it here. When we look at the event details they listed here, they've actually removed that caution where they said the rewards were bound, that they were not tradable. So the rewards will be tradable. You'll simply just be able to attend to the Archboss you want. So not necessarily being able to actually attend 2 different ones per time slot. So not really double Archbosses. You'll just be able to attend to the Archboss you want. If I'm just going for Tevent drops, I'll be able to attend Tevent every single time we have our Archboss time slots. So with that said, hopefully this was somewhat insightful. If there's anything I missed, feel free to leave it in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys around.